Our scripture passage this morning will be familiar to most. It is the story of Jesus taking a child in his arms and saying to his followers that they welcome God every time they welcome a child. This may seem anything but radical in our time. We value children, and our culture attends to children well, for the most part. However, in Jesus' time, children were not valued by the culture in the same way. Mortality was high. As many as 60% of all children died before the age of 16. In this ancient culture, if there was a fire, for example, a husband was obliged to save his father first, next his mother, then his wife, and last of all, his young child. If there was a famine, children would be fed last after the adults. It is in this context that Jesus honoring children becomes radical beyond measure. Reading Mark 9, verses 30 to 37. Jesus and his followers went on from the villages of Caesarea Philippi and passed through Galilee. He did not want anyone to know it, for he was teaching his disciples. But they did not understand what he was saying and were afraid to ask. Then they came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them, "What are you arguing about on the way?" But they were silent, for on the way they had argued with one another who was the greatest. He sat down, called to them, and said, "Whoever wants to be first must be last of all, and servant to all." Then he took a little child and put the child among them, and taking the child in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me." We return again this week to a passage from Richard Wagamese's book, Embers. Richard is calling humanity to pay attention that we cannot be fully human if we do not notice the beauty, the fragility, the detail of this world, and the lives that are a part of it all. It is a call to wonder and a reordering of the world in the same way that Jesus called for a reordering in his time. Reading Richard Wagamese's Wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is the same as its attainment, wonder. The truest statement in the world is, you never know. There is always something to evoke wonder, to wonder about, because this world, this life, this universe, this reality is far more than just the sum of its parts. Even the slightest detail contains much more. The overwhelming awe and wonder we feel teach us more than we can ever glean or come to know of things. In the presence of that wonder, the head has no answers and the heart has no questions. May these words open us to Spirit's presence.
And may wisdom come to us this day. Thanks, Fran.